Everyone, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me for week 3 of Ag Literacy with Kayla. This week's book, On the Farm at the Market by G. Brian Karras. On the farm. It's late afternoon and business as usual at the Monte Rosa vegetable farm. Time to get ready for the farmer's market tomorrow morning. Leo tells his workers which vegetables to pick first. Some vegetables are packed up tonight, while others will be picked early tomorrow. The workers know that greens are best picked soon after the sun rises, when temperatures are still cool. The vegetables get washed right away to take out the field's heat. Then they are packed and loaded into trucks. Empty crates are stacked, ready for tomorrow's crops. Soon, everyone but Leo has gone home. He checks to make sure nothing is forgotten. He snaps a bean in half and tastes it. Perfect, he says. Over at the amazing cheese dairy farm, Isaac is training his new worker, Rachel. He hands her a clipboard. These are the directions for making cheese, he tells her. Remember to put a check mark after you finish each step. And very important, don't miss any steps. Isaac takes Rachel over to the big steel vat. To make curds, he explains, milk goes into the vat. You turn on the heater and stir and keep on stirring. He shows her how. Rachel takes the large paddle and stirs like she's rowing a boat in a race. Not so fast, says Isaac with a grin. Rachel stirs until the whey, the liquid, separates from the curds, the chunks. Next, the curds are scooped up and put into molds where they become cheese. The cheeses are placed on racks and allowed to age, some for days and others for months. Ronnie and Louisa are going over the list of cheeses to be packed into the van early tomorrow morning. Mozzarella? Check. Queso blanco? Yep. Cheddar? Got it. Rachel looks at her list to make sure every step has a check mark. All done, she reports. Not yet, says Isaac. He hands her a mop. It's going to be a late night for everyone at the amazing cheese dairy farm. Here on Gary's farm, the mushrooms grow in a room on shelves and on bags that hang from the ceiling. It resembles a forest if you think about it, Gary explains. The plastic bags filled with a mixture of hay, sawdust, and water are like tree trunks. Other mushrooms grow on cakes that rest on shelves like damp logs on the forest floor. The temperature is cool and a fog machine keeps the air misty. Gary trims the mushrooms with sharp scissors and packs them into foam crates for tomorrow. It's late and time for sleep, but there's one more job to do. Morning will come too soon. At the market. Early Sunday, the market gets off to a slow start. The spaces are taken one by one. Nobody talks as tents and tables go up. A breeze blows and tents fill like balloons. Wind, someone yells. Tie that corner down, hold it tight. The wind whooshes through and it's quiet again. Sharon, the market manager, comes by with a tray of steaming cups. Who wants hot chocolate? Everyone. Friends catch up with one another. At 10 a.m., customers and browsers start to arrive. Amy from the Busy Bee Cafe is always one of the first shoppers. She checks in with her favorite farmers. What do you have for me today, Leo? Some nice Swiss chard, leeks, and take a look at these tomatoes, he says, showing them off. Amy fills her cart. Perfect for tonight's special, she says as she walks away. Save me a table, calls Leo as he weighs broccoli rabe for his next customer. There are long lines of people. Produce gets weighed, bags get filled, and pies get boxed. Parents carry babies and kids eat farm-fresh ice cream and cookies. The Blackberry Hill Fiddlers finally arrive. They unpack, set up, and soon fill the air with their music. Next stop for Amy is the amazing cheese farm stand. Cheddar cheese, please, she tells Isaac. What's for dinner at the Busy Bee tonight? Isaac asks. One way to find out, she says and winks. The last stop for Amy is Gary's mushrooms. She buys some of each kind. Gary looks at Amy's cart. He says, cheddar cheese, Swiss chard, leeks, and mushrooms? And I see you stopped at Henry's eggs. I can guess what the Busy Bee special will be tonight. Should I save you a seat? Amy asks him. You bet, Gary says. By the end of the afternoon, the crowd starts to thin out. Farmers put away what little food is left and tents come down. One by one, the spaces are empty, and soon the only people left are the workers cleaning up. The sky begins to get dark, but the lights are on over at the Busy Bee Cafe. A few of the Blackberry Hill Fiddlers show up and play a song while everyone sits down for some of Amy's special market pie. After the hard work on the farm and a long day at the market, everyone is ready for a good meal and some fun. The end. I hope you guys enjoyed this week's book, On the Farm at the Market. And for those of you who would like to stick around to go over some of those extra resources and the activity that you can do, we're going to go through that right now. So again, as always, I have provided you guys the link that should open up and take you to the Ag in the Classroom website. So this was last year's Ag Literacy book. If you go down, it gives you a brief description of the book and the author, who is also the illustrator. And then you can go down, and here are your educator resources. As always, you can go down farther for lesson extensions, teacher references, other lesson plans, depending on the grade level that you would like to gear the activity for. But the one that I did when I went out to schools used these cards. Let's see if it'll pull it up for you guys. Okay, so perfect. So the activity gives you a bunch of these cards, and you can print however many you want, and then you cut them into pieces. So you've got your pasta, you've got some different fruits, bread, cheese, mozzarella, milk, flowers, basil, lettuce. There should be a few more green beans, beets, eggs, sausage, and ground beef. So what you're going to do is you're going to print these out. You are going to cut them. I would print 1 or 2 copies just to make sure you have enough, especially depending on how many kids you have at home who are trying to do the activity. So the original activity has it set up to where you have someone is being the farmer and the other kids are kind of being the consumers going to the market. So the way I had it set up is that I would, again, do this in a classroom setting. So I would pick a few of the kids to be my farmers. I would then give them all of the pre-cut cards. So one farmer would get the apples, some would get raspberries, some would get pasta. I wouldn't necessarily use all of the cards, but I would kind of use like cheese, milk. I would always do the flowers, lettuce. I had some kind of vegetable, and always the ground beef and sausage. And I would give those kids who were my farmers or my producers a few minutes to kind of set up their stand at the farmer's market. And then I would go over with the rest of the kids what they were going to do. So the rest of the kids who were involved are going to go to the market, and they are going to purchase items. So the original activity has it that you kind of give the kids an imaginary budget. So say you give them about $20, $30 to spend, and it's kind of a math exercise. So they're going to the market, you give them $30 to spend, then at the end you ask them what they had, how much they spent, and how much they went over their budget. Now, I didn't necessarily want to do the math part of this, and I mean, you could include it with the activity that I did. It's just I didn't want to do this with not having some kind of money. So I didn't have fake money and I didn't have Monopoly money, and it didn't really come with the activity. So it's just kind of in the kids' minds that they have this much to spend and they're going to try to not go over that budget, and then just figuring out if they did go over, how much they went over. So I did a more creative aspect. And so they took those cards. And again, I did the same setup. I had my farmers who were at the farmers market, and then the other kids would go. But instead of focusing on the dollar amount at the top, I told them, so you guys are going into the market to get something that you are creating for dinner later that night. So just start to think. So I had some kids who would get eggs and milk so they could go home and make brownies. I had some kids who would get eggs and cheese so they could go home and make omelets, just to kind of get that creative side going. Some kids would just kind of gather things and make like a vegetable stew or a pot pie. Like they were able to get creative. So again, it was a really fun activity. The kids really enjoyed having that opportunity to go to the market and kind of get something that they were going to theoretically create later that night when they got home. Again, some people would grab some extra fruit just to snack on. And again, I always had the flowers. So some kids were like, I got the flowers to decorate my house or my apartment, and just things like that. So that's just two different ways that you could kind of take the activity given and kind of go with it that way. Again, there are some other resources and lessons that you can do. I am not familiar with them, but it looks like there's fruit and vegetable bingo, some other problem solving, a mystery, like a mystery kind of thing, and just things like that. So I would take the chance to kind of go through those and see what else you can do with the activity and the book reading. So again, as always, if you have any questions, my contact is down at the bottom of the slide. Feel free to send me an email about this book, any past books. If you have any recommendations for other books, I would greatly appreciate it. So again, thank you guys so much for joining me, and I will see you next week. Bye.